there's not a number there. I don't know what happened. Should be 3, I think, here. Claims and support. And I want you to do a 3A and 3B. Find one claim, quote it, and then say whether you find support for that. And then do it again. Bridges, I'm asking you to look at least 2 bridges. And after you watch my video, you'll understand this a lot better, so I'm not going to slow down on it. Raising and dealing with possible objections, quotations, and can you summarize the essay? Like, I think the key question that the essay explores is, I think the essay's answer is, and then try to like summarize the essay. First it does this, then it does that, in a short paragraph. And if you can do that, that actually lets you and the writer know that, hey, this essay is kind of hanging together. If you struggle with that, then, then that's something that you need to let the writer know. And, so finally, based on your effort, what comments or suggestions do you have? Yeah, so it looks like a lot, but it's numbered there. And always the first thing to do is to read through the essay completely before you start. So yeah, this is some work, and I'm giving you 2 discussion, 6 points on this for doing this. And you're just doing 1. So, okay. So what I want to do, first of all, pause. I know I just zoomed through all that, but you'll have it all, zoom and zoom. So, but comments, questions? Okay, so let's play around with this. One thing that I keep emphasizing is, when you make a claim or write about something, it's really important that you follow through with the claim with evidence. And, in a way, that's what we keep practicing every week. So who would like to, what is one of these that somebody's working on? Okay, and we can kind of play with it. Who thinks, any one of these 4 things that somebody thinks you might want to pull into your essay?
Number 7, week 7.
Okay, what words are a metaphor? Okay, so let's take an example of that. So let's pull that up. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. Okay, so Harriet, do you have like a quote from here that, and don't, by the way, use what you've already done. I think I've already asked you, right, to summarize this and use quotes from it. So one of your resources is the stuff you've already written. So it could be already in your discussion post. And then I also did a video on it. But what would be a quote that you would want to use here, Harriet?
Let me see. I don't have my paper up, but I did use a quote from here, but I don't remember which one it was.
Or, okay, tell you what, I will help you all out. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say, let me get a fresh document here. As usual, things get crowded. Just move some stuff out of the way so I'm not seeing too many things. That's okay, I can get that out of the way too. Hold on. The Zoom always puts stuff in my way too. Okay, there, I think I got everything out of the way. So let's just put a quote here. And hopefully you did this on your data draft where you just like quote and then do something with it. So let's say, whoa. So let's say that you quoted this, all right? First, let's introduce it with a little one-sentence summary of the whole essay. So, or the argument that's taking place here. So, you know, if we had something like in his essay, what's it called? What words are metaphor? Let me go ahead and double spaces just so it's easier to see. When you draft, by the way, it's perfectly fine to single space, but still send it to your classmate double space. But you know, when you're drafting, you might want to single space. Up to you. Let's see. How do I do that though? Where is that? It's under paragraph somewhere. Format. Double space that. Also, while I'm at it, don't add a space between paragraphs. That makes it look nicer. Okay. There. Oh, let's see. Might as well fix that, right? I need that. Oh, and while I'm at it, might as well do it now so I don't have to look it up later. Let's put in our page number, right? Yeah, 69. Okay. Now, but I know, I don't want to put that yet because we haven't, what's his main argument in the whole thing? And here's a good example. He gives his argument right in his title. This is what I mean by about a revealing title. So in your own words, anybody, what does he basically argue, or what's one way of saying what he argues in this essay? I'll give you a minute if you want to scribble it down or think for a second, or pull up your. Someone give it a shot. We'll help you out.
I think he's saying that some of us get what the metaphor is. Some of us will get it, but for most of us, we're not going to understand it.
Okay. Most of us don't understand what kind of metaphor.
Was it like the dead metaphors?
Who's that? What's that?
Was it the dead metaphors?
Dead metaphors, Jaime, right. Now, is it that we don't understand them, or what? If we look at it, let's look at the quote here. The metaphor, or actually, let's just leave that. Let's just say that maybe we'll come back and fix that. Let's go with that. Okay, argues that most of us don't understand dead metaphors. Okay. Now, I could write that. I could do this, couldn't he? He writes, but I don't need to do that. I've already told you who's talking and that he's arguing, so I can use method 2 here, can't I? And just put the colon here and then stick my quote there. And then a good thing to do, you don't always have to use the words in other words, but maybe that's a good habit to get into, at least for your draft. Often then after you write the draft, you can go back and cross out the words in other words, but go ahead and do it. All right, put it in your own words now, Harriet or anybody. The metaphor blazed briefly for the first person who created it, and it lights up again when anyone hears it for the first time, but for most of it, it is dead. In other words, what, Harriet? Put that into your own words, that idea.
I'm not sure how to change it.
Anybody here? Now, here's a key, okay? I'm going to read it, and then we're just going to talk about it, and I'm going to hide it. Okay, so he says again that the metaphor blazed, and he's giving an example, right, of like the foot of the mountain, right? So just to help us out a little bit. he said, the metaphor blazed briefly for the first person who created it, and it lights up again when anyone hears it for the first time. But for most of it is dead. I'll add something. He gives the example of foot of the mountain. Okay. In other words, all right. Okay, let's talk about it. What's he saying about foot of the mountain? Anybody? Let's just work it out.
He's saying it's interesting for the person who heard it the first time, but then it becomes dead after being used so long.
So let's put that in. Let's see. Where did I have it? Okay. So far, so is that about what you said, Marlinda?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Now, notice though that we've used a lot of the same language. So what could we say instead of dead? So we just don't say dead again, which by the way is itself a metaphor.
It
What do we
becomes
think?
old.
Huh? What's that?
It becomes old
It becomes old
and a habit.
and a habit. Okay, so we might come back and edit all this, right, and revise it, but let's keep writing. So let's go ahead and unpack that. What might the first person who hears it, if somebody explain the thought process or what's happening in the mind of the first people who used it or the people who heard somebody use it for the first time?
It's intriguing the first time, but that's it.
I want you to go ahead and say it out. Because a listener would see what's the connection being made? Let's unpack the metaphor. A metaphor has two sides. So when we say foot of the mountain, what are the two sides of the metaphor?
Oh, the manifest latent.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about the manifest and the latent.
So they would maybe see actually like the base of a mountain.
Right, and it's what's funny is in a dead metaphor, it's the latent meaning that's left, and the original manifest meaning is the one that people are forgetting. Okay, right? If we take foot of the mountain, well, what's the literal meaning of foot?
They'll be thinking about the lower part of the mountain,
This.
bottom part.
Okay, so so the literal meaning of foot of the mountain is that imagining, that thing we have on the bottom of our legs that has 5 toes. Okay. What's fun is if you were to draw it, you could have like a mountain. There's my drawing of foot of the mountain. Everybody see it? Okay. So the reason, it would be treating the first time because the listener would see what? The relationship between what? You said base of the mountain, right? Jaime?
Yes.
And